welcome to another episode of the Played on Repeat Top 10 Fridays. On this episode, we're going to be breaking down Led Zeppelin's top 10 most streamed songs on Spotify. I figured since we covered Black Sabbath this Monday on the album review, we covered the other giant from the time frame in Led Zeppelin on the top 10 of the week. Led Zeppelin was an English rock band formed in London in 1968. The band comprised vocalist Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and drummer John Bonham. They had a heavy guitar-driven sound and drawing from influences including blues and folk music. Led Zeppelin are cited as an originator of hard rock and heavy metal. Led Zeppelin evolved from a previous band, the Yardbirds, and were originally named the New Yardbirds. They signed a deal with Atlantic Records that gave them considerable artistic freedom, and they were initially unpopular with critics, but they weren't unpopular with fans. They achieved significant commercial success with 8 studio albums over 10 years. Their 1969 debut, Led Zeppelin, was a top 10 album in several countries. Jimmy Page composed most of Led Zeppelin's music, while Plant wrote most of the lyrics. Jones occasionally contributed keyboard-focused parts, particularly on the band's last album. The band currently has over 19 million monthly listeners on Spotify. With that being said, let's get into the songs. Song 1, Stairway to Heaven. This was released on November 8th, 1971 on the band's untitled 4th studio album, which is commonly known as Led Zeppelin 4. It's composed by the band's guitarist Jimmy Page, with lyrics written by Robert Plant. It's widely regarded as one of the greatest rock songs of all time. Stairway to Heaven was voted number 3 in 2000 by VH1 on its list of 100 greatest rock songs. Page's opening guitar arpeggios bear a resemblance to the 1968 instrumental Taurus by the Los Angeles-based rock band Spirit, written by Spirit guitarist Randy California. In the liner notes to the 1996 reissue of Spirit's self-titled debut album, California wrote, "People always ask me why Stairway to Heaven sounds exactly like Taurus, which was released 2 years earlier. I know Led Zeppelin also played Fresh Garbage in their live set. They opened up for us on their first American tour." In May 2014, Spirit bassist Mark Andes and a trust acting on behalf of California filed a copyright infringement suit against Led Zeppelin and injunction against the release of the album containing the song, in an attempt to attain a writing credit for California, who died in 1997. The jury ruled that the similarities between the songs did not amount to copyright infringement, which is kind of controversial depending on who you talk to about it. It is very close, to be honest. Stairway has an insane 1.1 billion streams on Spotify. It is a very, very popular song. This being the second song we've gone over on the Top 10 Fridays with over 1 billion streams. The song opens with the acoustic guitar part that we just spoke about. Soon some recorders join in with the guitar, and not long after that, Robert Plant begins to sing. He's another one of those guys that just has an amazingly unique voice, and his voice is beautiful as well. One of the best of all time, definitely. We gradually pick up as the song goes on. At about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we move into using electric guitar instead of the acoustic. It's the same part, just played electrically. This part goes on until about 5.5 minutes, and we get an iconic solo from Jimmy Page, one of the most well-known solos of all time. Just after the solo, we get a faster, more hard rock final section. We end on a short vocal-only part from Robert Plant. Song 2, Immigrant Song. This song was included on their 1970 album Led Zeppelin 3 and released as a single. It features lyrical references to Norse mythology, with Robert Plant's howling vocals mentioning war-making and Valhalla. That being why the song has been used in, I believe, every movie Thor has ever been in the MCU. If not every movie, definitely every Thor movie. The song has 875 million streams on Spotify. This one opens with a really cool repeating guitar riff and a war cry from Robert Plant. The war cry is repeated a few times, and then he begins delivering the lyrics. For a lot of this song, it's delivered in a more speaking tone, like the back half of the verses is. The war cries return throughout the song, on and off. This is by far one of the band's most catchy songs musically. We stick to the same repeating parts just over and over and over again from the instruments the whole time. We go out by everything just cutting out all at once. Song 3, Whole Lot of Love. This is the opening track of the band's second album, Led Zeppelin 2. In the United States, it became the band's first hit and was certified gold. Parts of the song's lyrics were adapted from Willie Dixon's You Need Love, recorded by Muddy Waters in 1962. It was originally uncredited to Dixon, and in a lawsuit in 1985, it was settled with a payment to Dixon and a credit on subsequent releases. Led Zeppelin's one of those bands that's been in court quite a few times over possibly maybe stealing some music from people, but we won't talk about it. The song was ranked number 75 on Rolling Stone's magazine list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, period. Songs, period. Not just rock songs, songs. Currently just has just over 700 million streams on Spotify. The song opens with yet another iconic riff from Page and a super beefy bass line from Jones. Platt begins singing soon after. We get a section in the middle where all that is heard is the drummer, Mr. John Bonham, and some strange sounds, as well as Plant's voice fading in and out. It's a really strange section, but I enjoy it. I don't believe this section is in the radio edit that you would hear if you were on a classic rock radio station. After that section, we get a super cool, really fuzzy lead section from Page before we return to the main riff. We do that for a while before the instruments cut out and Plant is all on his own, just singing. It's a few seconds before the instruments come back. The song just fades out as Plant lets out a scream and the guitar continues to riff. Song 4, Black Dog. It's the first track on the band's fourth album. It's one of the most instantly recognizable Zeppelin tracks and was included in Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time lists and ranked number 1 in Q Magazine's 20 Greatest Guitar Tracks. The lyrics contain typical bluesman themes of lust, eroticism, and betrayal. The song has 436 million streams on Spotify. The song opens with a muted sound of guitars warming up, and then Plant delivers his first line completely on his own. All you hear is his voice. The instruments play at first only when Robert Plant isn't singing, he gives a line and then the instruments play for a minute, and he gives a line and the instruments play. I love Page's tone in this one. It's another really fuzzy tone from him, similar to earlier in the solo in the song before. It's one of, if not my favorite songs from the band, honestly. The solo in this one is also one of my favorites from Page as well. The song fades out as Jimmy is still soloing. Song 5, Ramble On. This one serves as the 7th track of their second studio album, Led Zeppelin 2. This song's lyrics were influenced by J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy novel, The Lord of the Rings. Ramble On was co-written by Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. The lyrics were mainly written by Plant. This one has 373 million streams on Spotify. It opens with an acoustic guitar accompanied by some percussion, and the bass joins soon after that. Plant also begins singing soon after the bass comes in. I love Jones's tone on his bass in this one as well. Super beefy once again. We ramp up with the introduction of electric guitar and some harsher vocals from Plant in the chorus. We just go back and forth between the two parts for the whole song, and the song slowly fades out over about 20 seconds as the band continues at the end of the song. Song 6, Kashmir. This is featured on their 6th studio album, Physical Graffiti. Came out in 1975. It was written by Jimmy Page and Robert Plant with contributions from John Bonham over a period of 3 years, with lyrics dating to 1973. The song became a concert staple performed by the band at almost every concert after its release. It has been described as one of the Led Zeppelin's 2 most overly progressive epics, the other being Stairway to Heaven. Kashmir has 345 million streams on Spotify. The song opens with another really cool riff from Page. In this song, his guitar is tuned to what is called dad-gad tuning, each letter representing what each of his strings are tuned to. So it's D, A, D, G, A, D. The 6 strings are tuned to those letters, D, A, D, G, A, D. And Plant starts singing soon after the song starts. The drums are very simple in this one, but are exactly what are needed for the song. John Bonham was one of the best in doing what the song needed and making sure not to overplay, which is a very easy thing to do as a drummer. It's part of the reason why he's one of the best. A lot of people would consider him to be the best drummer of all time, and that's reasonable to me. This song also uses some horns in parts, and it makes it feel huge whenever the horns are there and the guitar's riffing and the drums are in the background. The bass is very high in the mix as well. The song just feels trudging, almost like a marching military, if that makes sense. That's how it makes me feel. It's almost hypnotic at the same time, as the same parts repeat over and over and over for the full 8 minutes of the song. We go out on another fade out that lasts 30 seconds as the band continues. Song 7, Going to California. Going to California is a folk style song with Robert Plant on vocal, acoustic guitar by Jimmy Page, and mandolin by John Paul Jones. Page uses an alternative guitar tuning in this one as well, this one being D-A-D, G-B-D, or double drop D tuning for the recording. The song started out as a song about Californian earthquakes, and when Jimmy Page, audio engineer Andy Johns, and the band manager Peter Grant traveled to Los Angeles to mix Led Zeppelin 4, they coincidentally experienced a minor earthquake. At this point, it was known as Guide to California instead of being called Going to California. Going to California has 279 million streams on Spotify. It opens with a finger-picked acoustic guitar part and the mandolin. Plant joins soon after that. This overall is just a super beautiful song that almost in a way you could see being played in a tavern in like a Hobbit movie almost. The song fades as the finger-picked guitar continues, and we hear some almost angelic singing from Plant low in the mix, and then it just kind of goes out on that fade out. Song 8, Good Times, Bad Times. This is featured as the opening track on their debut album. The song was Led Zeppelin's first single released in the U.S., where it reached the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The composition of the song began before the band's recording sessions at Atlantic Studios, so they started writing this one before they were even signed. The original title was A Man I Know. The song has 339 million streams on Spotify. The song opens with a riff written by Jones on his organ. He states that it's one of the hardest riffs to perform he has ever written. Bonham's drumming in this one is also insane. He pulls off consistent triplets on a single bass drum and a single pedal. This is something that got him praise from Jimi Hendrix, seeing as how hard it is to kind of pull that off. The solo in this one is also super cool. It's super affected and more distorted than a lot of his other solos. There's also a cool bass line snuck into a part where all the instruments stop playing as well, other than the bass. We fade out as it sounds like the band is going into a whole nother verse. It's like they're just continuing the song, and we just get left out of whatever was going on at the other side of that fade. Song 9, Rock and Roll. This was released as the second track on their fourth studio album in 1971. The song contains a guest performance by original Rolling Stones pianist and co-founder Ian Stewart. According to guitarist Jimmy Page, Rock and Roll developed from a spontaneous jam session that occurred after the band became frustrated while attempting to finish recording Four Sticks. The song has 315 million streams on Spotify. This one opens with drums from Bonham and a really cool but simple riff from Page. Jones and Plant joined soon after that. This is the most up-tempo song to this point, at 170 beats per minute. The bass and drums really push this song along, and they're definitely the most up front in the mix as well for this one. The piano joins in the second half of the song, and it just takes it to a whole nother level. he's a really good bass player. Mr. Stewart is. Um, we go out on a little bit of a solo from Bonham and a few lead notes from Page, and then it just ends. Song 10, Hey Hey, What Can I Do? This was released in 1970 as the B-side of the single Immigrant Song in the U.S. It's Led Zeppelin's only non-album track released during the band's existence. They were very huge on only releasing albums. Yes, they chose singles from the albums, but they only released albums, with the exception of this song. This is the only song that they ever released that was not included on one of their albums. The song has 111 million streams on Spotify currently. It's another song that starts acoustically. Bonham joins with his drums soon after, and Plant and Jones join shortly after that. The guitar chord progression in a part of this one reminds me a lot of Signs by Tesla, which I didn't realize before looking this up because I heard the similarity. I didn't realize Signs was a cover. It's a cover of a song that was written in 1970, so this could possibly be another example of Zeppelin taking a little inspiration as well from somewhere, or maybe they took some inspiration from Zeppelin. I can't speak on that. I didn't see anything where there was any trials or anything from this, but I just heard the how close it was in my head, like I heard it, and it sounded like Signs to me, but whatever. The song ends on another fade out. With that being said, we've covered the top 10 most streamed songs by Led Zeppelin on Spotify, and real fast, I want to just mention a few of my favorites that didn't make the list. Those being songs like "When the Levee Breaks," "Heartbreaker," "Dazed and Confused," "Communication Breakdown," and so many more amazing songs by the band. They're really, just like Black Sabbath, a huge inspiration to a lot of people. Songs like Stairway and stuff like that. Like Stairway is a very progressive song, and I wouldn't be surprised if you asked a lot of these progressive metal bands nowadays, people like Dream Theater, stuff like that. I would bet that they drew a lot from Led Zeppelin. And regular old hard rock guys now, other metal guys, I'm sure there are tons and tons of examples of people being influenced by Led Zeppelin, just like there are tons of people that were influenced by Black Sabbath as well. Anyway, now that we're done, I just need to say thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, please share with a friend. Also follow me on TikTok if you haven't. You just have to look up Play It On Repeat Podcast on TikTok, and it should show up. We have conversations about music over there almost every day. Thanks again. Bye.